Meaning that it's not actually issued by the federal government, but they put all the standards together for the ID, and then they're demanding
put all
that
the standards, and not only that, they're demanding that all of the information be put in a database that is accessible by every government anywhere in the country. So they're essentially creating a national ID that's not called a national ID.
Correct. They're having the states do the busy work. They're having the states do the actual issuing of the IDs, and then they basically direct what they want on the IDs, the information that's supposed to be contained in them, etc. And
the information that is required in order for one to obtain one of these IDs.
There was some level of pushback against this from a few states, but generally, just to be clear, the pushback that came on this wasn't from some sort of principled position of states' rights, oh, federal government, you're pushing yourself down on us. The position that I understood, at least here in like New Hampshire,
unfunded mandate.
Right, was that it was an unfunded mandate, meaning that the federal government was telling the states to do all these things, but they weren't attaching a check. Right. And so the bureaucrats were all uppity about that. Ultimately, that resulted in a few states refusing to participate in these requirements.
Right. And
5 or something like that? Not very many.
Actually, more than that.
Really?
I'll explain.
Okay.
But this Real ID was passed in 2005.
Yep.
And initially was supposed to have been implemented in like 2007 or 2008. And then it got pushed back to like 2010. And then it got pushed back another couple of years. And then it got pushed back. And the claim late last year was that by like January 10th of 2016, people from New Hampshire and Minnesota and a couple other states would not be able to board airplanes
without a passport.
And
which was
one
similar.
That's completely not true, because on the TSA's website they have instructions on how you can get through security if you have no identification at all.
So they are still allowing that. That's interesting, because years ago here on Free Talk Live, one of our former co-hosts, Sam Dodson, made headlines when he was actually crossing through the TSA checkpoints, and he refused to show ID to them. And that was sort of like his thing that he would do in the airport at the time. He made some really cool videos about his interactions with TSA. Obviously, they do really want you to have ID, but they allowed him to cross through with just some extra hassle, basically.
Right.
And
so
I heard that things have gotten worse.
Basically, you get to know a TSA agent fairly well, or rather, they get to know you fairly well. They ask you all kinds of personal info that they can then go and input into a computer somewhere and make sure you're not one of those terrorists. And then they give you that enhanced pat down where they, basically sexually assault you, but it's not sexual assault because they've got a little blue shirt and blue gloves and a badge. But if you were to do the same thing to a random person on the street, it would be considered sexual assault. So they do that. So there is a procedure where the TSA will let you through if you don't have any ID or if you don't have appropriate ID. But all of the headlines are, flyers in these states will need a passport.
That's very similar to the border as well, the northern and southern border, where they say publicly that you have to have a U.S. passport to get back into the country. And that's also not true. You don't need to have a passport to get back in. I got back in without a passport, so I've actually put this to the test. We had a guy who called this show previously who said he frequently crosses on foot at Tijuana, and whenever he comes back, he never has a passport, and usually they'll detain him and give him a hard time, lecture him, which is basically what they did with me. They detained me for a half an hour, and they gave me a lecture about why this was the greatest country on earth and how grateful I should be to live in the United States. And
you should respect all these freedoms by jumping through hoops and hurdles and getting documents. Because freedom.
Yeah, and I actually made a documentary about it. We went up and we did what we call a run for the border during the Porcupine Freedom Festival this year, which happens during the summertime. It's the yearly summer camping festival that the Free State Project puts on here in New Hampshire. And so since we had so many libertarians all in one place, I put out the announcement that I was going to be trying to cross the border into Canada for the purposes of just trying to cross the border with special identification to see what would happen. I have what's called a world passport, and it's like you can order one of these through the World Service Authority. It looks like any other state passport around the world. It's got that same kind of quality cover, the same page, the look to the pages, security features, things like that. And it's a neat little document. The man who created the World Passport actually lives in Vermont. He's in his 90s now. He made it back after he got out of World War II as basically a statement. He created the World Service Authority as a statement against war, having served in the war and being pretty turned off to the whole war and thing. He then went ahead and created this organization with the idea of ending borders around the globe and acting as though you're just sort of like a citizen of the world. Now, I understand that some people are going to be rubbed the wrong way by that, right? Like we certainly don't want a one world government, and this guy might want a one world government. I don't know about that, but he definitely is against the idea of borders, and from that aspect, I support it. And I also support the idea of having no state whatsoever. And given that there is at this time no world government or world state, in order to be a world citizen means that you're answering to essentially no authority.
Right.
And so I love the concept, and I wanted to try it out. And that's what I did. I had the world passport, but there were 4 others who accompanied me on the journey to the border at Derby Line, Vermont, which is a kind of a classic town where the border actually bisects the town. It goes literally through the middle of a library.
Yes.
And this is kind of a classic example of how ridiculous the idea of this border is, that there's literally a line painted in the middle of this library.
See, Ian, there's a physical line. It's not arbitrary. You can see the line.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. Unfortunately, we actually were not able to get inside the library on the day that we chose to go. I don't know if you caught the documentary yet, but
no, I've not had a chance.
It's about a 25-minute long documentary that I put together about our visit to Derby Line and then what was on the other side, Stansted, Vermont, or Stansted, Canada, Quebec. And apparently it was John the Baptiste Day in Canada at that time.
Okay.
Now, I don't know who John the Baptiste is, but
John the Baptist
sounds like a religious guy, but that's about all I could say.
He's the guy that was out preaching in the wilderness before Jesus wound up and beginning his ministry.
Okay.
So
Like
Roger Ver is Bitcoin Jesus.
Yeah.
You guys led him to Bitcoin. So some people have called you and Mark Bitcoin John the Baptist.
That's cute.
I'm fairly certain you've heard the term John the Baptist before.
Yeah, I might not have known what it meant. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. So I can tell you more about what happened at the border, and then we'll come back around to Real ID and how they've been trying to cram it down, saying they're going to cram it down, but then ultimately backing off yet again. So the supposed deadline of January 6th came and went, and they've delayed it another 2 years. We'll tell you more. 855-450-FREE. If you want to talk about it, 855-450-3733.
At Van Dyke Mortgage, we would like to thank our military veterans. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. For your service to our country, the Veterans Administration or VA loans are available for active, non-active, and retired veterans who meet the established requirements to assist in buying or refinancing a home loan. The most notable features and benefits for those who qualify are 100% financing, no monthly mortgage insurance, a variety of terms or loan types, reduced costs for disabled veterans, and no seller prepayment penalty. At Van Dyke Mortgage, we work hard to be your trusted mortgage advisor and can help analyze your personal situation and give you advice that matters. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com. That's VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
You pick up the receiver with your heart racing and sweat dripping from your forehead. You finally muster the courage to dial the number to call into your favorite talk radio show. It rings once, twice, and then...
Hello, it's GCN. What's your name and the state you're calling from?
Surprised you got through, you squeak out.
Jason from Minnesota.
Please hold.
As you patiently wait for your turn, you begin to daydream about being a famous talk radio host and what it would be like to have your own show.
Jason from Minnesota, you're up.
Millions of loyal listeners worldwide waiting to call and talk to you. you.
Caller, are you there?
Cheering crowds surround you, calling out your name.
Going once, twice. Okay, we gotta move on to the next caller.
You blew it.
Huh? Wait, no!
Interact with the hosts you're listening to right now, online at GCNlive.com. Click on the community link. Engage with other listeners. Ask questions. Start debates. Don't agree with a host? Let them know. Be a part of the community at GCNlive.com.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers, too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading on Friday, gold is $6 lower at $1,103 per ounce. Silver is down 23 cents at $14.13 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $456 US. There was an estimated $2.5 trillion loss of equities value so far this year. There's something to keep an eye on, and maybe give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or go online at rrbi.co.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live Saturday edition, inviting you to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Talking about traveling. Real ID. For those of you who don't know what it is, it basically was a set of rules the federal government was attempting to cram down the throats of all the 50 states. Some of the states refused to obey. They refused to implement these Real ID standards in their driver's licenses. And then coming up here this year, they were saying that those of you states who haven't implemented this, we're going to force it down your throats finally, even though we put it off and we put it off and we put it off, because it was supposed to be forced down their throats like in 2007 or something like that.
Like 07, and then they pushed it back to like 09, 2010, and then pushed off again and pushed off again, and was supposed to have gone into effect on, like, I think January 11th of this year, but then a couple of weeks ago, the Fed said, we'll give at least 120 days notice before we wind up implementing, and we hope to have a decision by the end of next week. And by the end
they'll give at least 120 days notice. I thought it was 2 years. I'm confused.
2 weeks ago, they said, we'll look at the policy and give at least 120 days notice.
Right.
Then yesterday, which was a week and a half after they said, we'll give at least 120 days notice, yesterday they said it's going to be at least 2 years.
Okay, got it.
So 2 years
they're giving 2
is
years
more
notice.
than 120 days notice.
I got you. So they've given notice is what you're saying.
Right.
Which they've given notice several times now that this was going to, it's going to end. You're going to have to comply. You're going to need a passport to fly, even though you've already pointed out that you actually, point of fact, don't need ID to fly at all. So there's a lot of dishonesty going on here by on the part of the federal government trying to cram people into their system. And it led to a discussion about the documentary that I produced that you can watch on YouTube. I'll actually put it up on our Facebook and Twitter here in a moment. It's called "Did the Border Kill the Small Town of Derby Line, Vermont?" That's the name of it on YouTube. And again, I will link to it here. And basically, it's my trip to Derby Line to kind of see the sights. I wanted to see what it was like to be in a town where there's literally a border that runs through the middle of it. And it is kind of what some of you might have imagined, basically a ghost town. It is definitely not the vibrant town that it apparently once was, according to some of the current residents of the town, people who are familiar with the history of the town. The crackdown in about 2007 by the U.S. Border Patrol, which included putting up barriers across streets. It used to be that you could just drive down the streets to cross into Stansted, Quebec, but now they've got flower pots that are in the way that I suspect are filled with concrete. Or something like that. And then they also have actual fences that they've put up over some of the streets as well.
I'm still baffled by the fact that they are using flower pots to demarcate the border.
Why? Why is that baffling?
Well, because most of the time when you think about, marking a border, you're using something that will prevent penetration. A flower pot does not prevent penetration. You can jump over the flower pot very easily. You can walk around one of the flower pots.
Obviously, if you want to penetrate the border,
it's a very porous border.
Yes, if you want to penetrate the border to Canada, it's not a hard thing to do. There are, of course, at the very least in the town of Derby Line, cameras everywhere.
Right.
And there are, I don't know if everywhere, but enough. There are cameras monitoring all of the actual roads that cross through. And part of what you'll see in the video, because we documented this entire thing, what do these crossing points look like now compared to a long time ago? We didn't have pictures a long time ago, but those things didn't used to be there. And so like there'll be a fence, well, like a gate. When I say a fence, an actual gate that could in theory open up. So there's a gate. There's not any kind of border patrol in that area. Like they just patrol around. So there's constantly border patrol vehicles driving through the town, which is another reason to not live in a place, right? I mean, all you see on the streets are cop cars at all times, border patrol units. I mean, it's either border patrol or state police that are driving through there constantly. And apparently on the Stansted side, that's just not the case. According to the activists who crossed over, I was the one of the 5 who didn't make it over, but they did. And mine was because I have a criminal history of disobedience against the state, and so they didn't want me. But anyway, these gates that they have, there's actually, like, on most of them, a very wide area off to the right-hand side where anyone on a full-size vehicle could just careen right on through there. So if someone was in a rush to get across from Derby Line to Stansted or in the reverse, they would certainly be able to get across. They would likely be alerting the authorities to that because they're likely monitoring those locations with the video cameras that we did spot. But I don't know, if you go down to the woods somewhere else, I'm sure there's no video cameras in there. So anyway, it's possible to get through. And it was also, like I said, this experiment to see what kind of ID requirements were really required to get through. Now, nobody tried showing no ID to get back through, but that would also be an interesting experiment. Unfortunately, I cannot continue this experimentation because the Canadian folks told me that I would be charged with a felony if I come back to Canada within the next decade.
Oh, wow.
So that's the end of that. I'm not going to be screwing around with them on that particular promise or threat of theirs. But there was one guy who had a Canadian passport, another guy who had the enhanced U.S. driver's license out of Michigan. So that isn't a real ID, I believe, compatible one.
Not real ID compatible, but it complies with the Western Hemisphere Travel Initiative, which is an international treaty of sorts.
And then Garrett Ian from freeconcord.org was with me. He had just a regular driver's license. And Mandy from Georgia had a regular driver's license as well. And all of them were able to traverse the border without a problem, without even a single pat-down, actually, which is kind of interesting. You had a whole group of people who could have been carrying who knows what in their pockets, but nobody actually checked that. They just checked their IDs and detained us for a while on the Canadian side. Like, it was an hour-and-a-half long detention there, but I think that was mostly because of me, like that they were mostly looking into me. They released some of the folks after about an hour, And then I was there for about an extra half hour after that until ultimately I was rejected, sent back to the United States, where I then spent a half an hour with them being lectured about how great the United States was, how grateful I should be to live here, even though the U.S. guys were actually pretty nasty compared to the Canadian guys. So it was a weird experience. Even though the Canadian guys actually detained me for 3 times as long as the U.S., and ultimately didn't let me in.
They were nicer about it?
They were at least nice about it.
Would you like some Canadian pancakes while you're here?
Oh, yeah.
Would you like one of our Canada dry ginger ales, eh?
They were just so nice. And even though they were government goons, right, like with guns and badges and everything, like they were at least friendly about rejecting me.
We're so sorry that we can't let you into our country, eh?
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with them at all in the way they treated
there
us.
is a slight problem, eh? So, like, if you try coming back here in, like, the next 10 years...
Yeah, we're going to have to arrest you.
We're going to have to arrest you and put you in a Canadian jail.
Which probably wouldn't be so bad compared to some jails. And by the way, they actually...
better than Mexican jail.
The Stansted on the other side of the border was in a little bit better shape. There were more stores that were actually open. Derby Line was dead. There was only an Irving gas station there, and that was it. Everything else... And it's not just because it was a holiday, I don't think. Like, there were empty storefronts in this tiny little downtown.
It wasn't a holiday in Derby Line, Vermont. It was a holiday in Stansted.
It basically was a holiday in Derby Line, Vermont, even though it was a Canadian holiday, because the library's technically on both sides. Anyway, toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Talk about the border, Real ID, whatever you want. It's Free Talk Live.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Should you be able to earn an honest living free from senseless government interference? The Institute for Justice thinks so. That's why we've spent years defending hard-working men and women from pointless government regulations. Nationwide, IJ has created opportunity by reducing government power. But there is still more work to be done. Visit our website today at ij.org. Let IJ take care of the government so you can take care of your business.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Hey, join us here on Free Talk Live. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We're talking about the border. We're talking about Real ID, which the federal government has been trying for, a decade now to cram down the throats of various state governments that have been less than cooperative with the feds.
That's a nice way to put it, less than cooperative.
Yeah, they're not really interested in cooperating until the federal government sends a bunch of money along with them. So it's not a principled, hey, this is a freedom issue, we care about the freedom of our constituents kind of thing. It's just we're lazy bureaucrats and we don't want to work unless you send some money along. And whatever, it's working out good, I think, for us, because ultimately it's a, I think, pro-freedom decision to say no to the federal government's Real ID program. We'll come back around and talk more about that. You can join us here toll-free at 855-450-FREE. Bring up anything. And Austrian economists like Hoppe and Rothbard have adopted, sadly, in their writings, a position against open borders, which, of course, then many libertarians take on for themselves. David Hathaway's new book, however, Immigration, Individual versus National Borders, takes apart those arguments against open borders while still supporting the position that an individual property owner has the absolute right to exclude or invite anyone onto their property. So if you want a great explanation of open borders, check out David Hathaway's new book. It's called Immigration, Individual versus National Borders. Of course, it's available through Amazon. You can get it in either print or Kindle form. And if you shop at Amazon, then start your shopping at shop.freetalklive.com. That way, Free Talk Live gets a cut of the purchase when you go to get Immigration, Individual versus National Borders from David Hathaway on Amazon. As we go to your phone calls and thoughts, Rose Marie is on the line listening in Virginia Beach to WNIS. Hi, Rose Marie.
Hi there. How are you?
Hey, great. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Okay. I used to live up in Maine and New Hampshire, and we used to go up to Canada all the time. It was no big deal, no passports, none of that stuff. And I've been in this country for 65 years, and I am born and raised in this country. But I spent 5 years when I was born in Germany, so I have a German birth certificate. And for that reason, I can't seem to get a passport. And I just want to go on a cruise to go back to Europe. I'm not asking for a lot.
How long have you been trying to get a passport?
10 years.
And so they're just...
I sent all my documents. My parents are citizens. When they came to this country, my father had a town where he had 300 people working for him up in Biddeford, Maine. Everybody knew him. Everybody knew my parents. And we were very well known. But I just never bothered getting a passport because I just didn't do a lot of traveling. I worked for the local paper up there.
Could you get a German passport?
Oh, gee, I don't think so. I'm an American citizen.
But you said you have a birth certificate from Germany?
Well, my birth certificate says I was born in Germany, but all my other documents, everything. I mean, I've been in this country for 65 years, of course.
So, is the birth certificate from some state in the United States but says you were born in Germany, or is it from Germany?
No, it's a German birth certificate, yes. From Germany.
I would think you could get a German passport. I mean, I'm certainly no expert on international travel, but it might be worth a try. I mean, generally, birth certificate's one of the more important things that are required. I mean,
certainly.
It might not be an easy thing to do, but it might be easier than 10 years worth of work.
And still no passport.
Right. I mean, might be something to try.
The problem is, it's supposed to be a free country. Couldn't I get a passport?
Keyword supposed to be.
I agree with you. It is supposed to be a free country, and that is the problem. You are absolutely right about that, Rosemary. Good luck out there with your journey. I appreciate your call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733.
When I used to work for an airline, one of the guys that I worked with, he had a similar situation where he was born in East Germany to military father, and mom wasn't in the military, but she was living there because the husband was, and he was a naturalized U.S. citizen. But there was some kind of thing to where the airport said everybody's got to get new airport issued IDs and bring in this document and that, and he goes, and also, by the way, he was in the National Guard, and so he went, and they're like, yeah, we can't accept your birth certificate because it's issued from Germany and it doesn't have the ID number something on the thing, and because apparently over the last 40 years the document number had changed. And because the passport or the birth certificate that he had that was the original didn't have the document number on it, the airport would not accept it as valid. So then he had to jump through other hoops and go find other stuff. But he had no problem at all getting the documents from the National Guard or having a passport. But the airport,
you never know,
would not accept the document.
One thing you can count on the government for is inconsistency.
Yes.
They are never consistent with how they treat people. I mean, even in the visit to the border that I was telling you about earlier, I tried to cross over Derby Line, Vermont, and into Stansted, Quebec. And one of the ladies who was with me, she used her driver's license to get back across. Again, they claim that you need to have a passport to get back into the United States. Yes. Not true. But they didn't have the same level of detention with her that they did with me. So they treated me completely differently than they treated her. They basically just, let her through. And
well, that's because they knew you got detained by the Canadians.
Well, they probably did know that. At the very least, they knew I came back alone from the Canadian side. But my point being that, under the same general circumstances, we were treated differently. One person with a driver's license, one person with a driver's license. And she was not subject to any additional scrutiny because of that. So, but the guy who called about this years ago said he's been detained for as many as a few hours when coming back now from the Mexican side of things. But detained, ultimately lectured, and let go into the United States. So when the federal government says one thing about, well, this is the new rule, well, unless you actually see the rule in writing somewhere, then there's a chance that they are misrepresenting what it actually says.
But even if the rule is in writing, it's not necessarily going to be implemented by every employee in the same manner.
Right, exactly.
Because I've had, quote-unquote, real jobs where the rule book says X, and everybody does it slightly differently.
If you want to share your experience at the border, you're certainly welcome to do so. 855-450-FREE. The lady caller we had saying that a long time ago it was no big deal. You just crossed and it was no big deal, no ID required. And apparently everything was okay when life was like that.
Yeah.
That didn't lead to an increase in violence. It didn't lead to an increase in kidnappings or whatever it is that the big fear is of allowing people to come in here and visit or maybe work, or allowing people to go in there and visit and work. My goodness. What a crazy world. So a couple other interesting interactions. If you go to the Free Talk Live Facebook and or Twitter, you'll see the video that I was talking about of the documentary of us going to the border. And there's one part I couldn't show you in that video, and that was the actual approach to the Canadian side. So Garrett, Ian, and I both had video cameras out as we approached. So this was not a hidden camera situation, and it probably, in retrospect, should have been. So if anyone else wants to try this, hide cameras on yourself and go in and see how that goes. In theory, you probably should do a little more research into the Canadian law, but in theory, they have freedom of the press there. And so if they don't know that you're recording, I don't know if it's a two-party consent or a one-party consent or whatever. But so again, do some research before you do this, because I had not done that research. I was not certain what the laws were about that in Canada. So, and besides, we just wanted to openly record the entire process and see what that was like. So when we approached with the video cameras, the guy did not want to be on camera, and he told us to turn him off, which I did not do. I continued to ask questions about, well, is there a free press in Canada? He says, yes, there's a free press in Canada, but you're not allowed to record the border checkpoints. And if you want to record the border checkpoints, then you've got to apply to the Border Patrol, or whatever they call themselves up there, and you apply to the Canadian Border Patrol, and then maybe they'll give you permission. And then if they give you permission, then they give you a list of rules of things you cannot record anyway. So you can't, zoom in on the checkpoint. You can't get the faces of anybody who's driving through. There's this whole list of restrictions to where it's not even worth asking permission. You can't hardly record anything, even if you do get the permission. Anyway, they told me I couldn't release that footage.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-965-1170.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-965-1170. That's 1-800-965-1170. 1-800-965-1170.
Did you know that home break-ins increase more than 100% during the holidays? It takes just 10 seconds for an intruder to kick in your door. But police response to a home alarm system is more than 20 minutes. And intruders are in and out of your home in 5 minutes. Thieves know that you're not home and have presents inside just waiting to be taken. And if you are home, how safe will you feel with an intruder lurking inside with your family? That's why police across the country are recommending you use door armor. Proven to withstand the force of a battering ram, door armor keeps intruders out. It's easy to install and barely visible, and your door armor is guaranteed for life. Go to InvasionStopper.com for a very special buy one, get one at half off deal. These savings are for a limited time and only available to GCN listeners. Protect your valuables and loved ones this holiday season. Go to InvasionStopper.com now. That's InvasionStopper.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
855 Saturday edition. Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. So what we've determined here so far tonight is that when the federal government says something, it may not necessarily be true. Now, of course, most people already knew that anyway, but it can seem really true when a man with a gun is telling you something, right? Like, I should probably listen to what this guy has to say. He's probably going to hurt me if I don't. Well, it turns out if you don't do what he says in all of these instances, well, sometimes you're okay, like crossing the border without a passport back into the United States on the Mexican or Canadian side. It's totally possible. I've done it. And you can join us here. Our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. Let's continue. By the way, SaveItPurse.com allows you to save big time on your purchases that you are going to be buying through Amazon anyway. If you're an Amazon shopper, wouldn't you like to save 20% the next time you buy? And how about every single time after that? How about more than 20%? 20, 30, 40, 45%. I've gotten all of those discounts through SaveItPurse.com. The highest discount possible is 50. I've not gotten that one yet, but it's possible. One of our listeners actually just got 50% off on like a $10 item. So you can go check that out. SaveItPurse.com. The catch is you have to have Bitcoin to make it possible. That is how you get those incredible discounts. Save at Purse. SaveAtPurse.com. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio. Let's go to the phones to the fun Vince listening in Hampton, Virginia to WNIS. Hello, Vince.
Hey. I wanted to chime in about the I hear you guys talking about passports and traveling. And, recently in the news, they brought up Ted Cruz and the fact that he was born in Canada. And that lady who said she had like a German passport or birth certificate, and she couldn't get a passport. It even makes me wonder, does Mr. Cruz does he have a passport? And the whole concept of natural born citizens, I found out that there's really no definition for that. And I mean, it's all just so jumbled up. I just wanted to hear your take on it.
Honestly, I don't think it matters because election officials claim that it's not up to them to determine whether or not someone is eligible in order to place them on the ballot. Someone challenged Ted Cruz's eligibility here in New Hampshire, and the Ballot Law Commission said, yeah, it's not up to the Secretary of State to determine whether or not somebody's eligible.
Who determines that? The feds? Later? Like once they get elected?
Maybe. So there have been people trying to challenge Obama's eligibility, and they keep getting the cases thrown out in court saying you lack standing.
Okay, wait. So to run for president, you would know this. You're running for president, Darryl W. Perry.
Yes.
DarrylWperry.com is your presidential campaign site. To run for president, you have to be 35 years old, correct?
Yes.
And don't you also have to be a
natural-born citizen?
Native-born, meaning that you were born
natural-born citizen, and you have to have lived in the United States for the last 14 years.
So the claim is that this guy Cruz was from Canada?
Ted Cruz admits to having been born in Canada.
And he's running for president?
Yes, he was. Both of his parents are American citizens. And I think Cruz actually had dual citizenship and has since given up his Canadian citizenship. So it's different than having been born in Germany and then getting naturalized. Because when he was born, he was given both U.S. and Canadian citizenship.
I see. Okay. Well, there you go, Vince.
Yeah, and now, from what I understand, is like his father was also a Cuban, and his mother was American, but he was born in Canada. And another thing that blew my mind was when I heard about John McCain, and that he was born in Arizona. Wow, this
John McCain was not born in Arizona. John McCain was born in Panama in the Panama Canal Zone.
Oh, okay. Well, all right. He was born in Panama. I thought he was born at a time before Arizona was a state or something.
He
like
was
that.
born before Arizona was a state, but he was not born in Arizona. He was born in Panama.
Wow. Okay. Well, just
entirely too much about John McCain. How do you know that?
I know, right?
I only know that because someone challenged his eligibility as well, And the U.S. Senate actually passed a special resolution declaring that John McCain was a natural-born citizen because he was born in the Panama Canal Zone, which at the time was American soil, so therefore America.
Apparently that's what the lady who called earlier needs, a special resolution from Congress to get her one of those passports. Vince, thanks for your call tonight, man. I appreciate it, sir.
And then also on Ted Cruz's eligibility, he's not going to wind up winning the Republican nomination, so it makes no difference.
How do you know? Isn't it a little too early to say who's going to win?
It's a little too early, but when you're polling around 4%, chances are you're not going to win.
He's doing better than Rand Paul, though, right?
Rand Paul's polling about 3%, so just a little bit better, yes.
Now, aren't they going to kick him out of the next debate or something like that?
He is most likely not going to meet the criteria for the main debate, and there have been several other candidates that haven't met the criteria for the big boy debate, as they call it, and they've been relegated to the kids' table. So when Rand Paul doesn't make the next debate, it's not that the media is trying to silence Rand Paul. They're setting out criteria that he's not meeting.
Are people saying that the media is trying to silence Rand Paul?
Yes.
Of course they are. Look, the argument that could be made that they're trying to silence him would be if he were polling highly and they weren't talking to him, right? Like if he were polling in the top 3 and they excluded him from a debate, that would be clear evidence that he was being excommunicated and ignored by the media. In this case, he's kind of down toward the bottom of the pack, and they have the rules that they've set, and he's certainly not right at the cutoff, right? There's a few people down there with him that are also being cut off.
Yes.
Isn't that right? Toll-free number tonight is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. And the reason why Rand Paul isn't polling like his father is because he's not like his father. I understand everybody's saying that he's like his dad, and his dad even says he's like him apparently. But I'm sorry. The things that come out of his mouth don't sound anything at all like Ron Paul. Yeah. Very, very little of it sounds like Ron Paul.
There was actually an interview that Rand Paul did on the Stephen Colbert show. Not the Colbert Report. Stephen Colbert now has the Late Show or the Tonight Show. Well, one of those things.
Is he actually playing himself, or is he still playing the character from Comedy Central? I've never seen the show.
I didn't watch the full thing. I just watched the interview, but it seems as though he's playing a legit talk show host. So it doesn't appear that he's doing this shtick sort of thing.
He's not being the Bill O'Reilly kind of character that he was previously on his show. Gotcha.
But one of the things that Rand Paul said, and it's only like a 7-minute interview, he got asked the question about what's a libertarian, and he gave a pretty decent answer, and then he said, I'm libertarian-ish. So he will not say he's a libertarian. He'll say libertarian-ish. And even Rand Paul admitted, I'm not as good as my father was.
Wow. Let's go to Carl. He's in Atlantic City listening to WPG AM. Hey, Carl.
Yeah, here in New Jersey, we're not in compliance. They gave us a reprieve to October that we can fly on airlines to October this year. And
I thought they just gave it 2 years out, or is Jersey going to expire sooner?
No, so certain states
maybe I'm wrong.
Certain states have exemption waivers until a certain date.
Okay.
But the Department of Homeland Security is saying they will not enforce Real ID at the TSA checkpoints until at least January 22nd, 2018.
So so they're going to it's going to expire but not really?
The exemption waiver will expire, but then the state just becomes non-compliant.
Got it. Okay. Go ahead, Carl.
Well, I don't even understand that, because we jumped through hoops in New Jersey to get our driver's licenses. But there was fraud. I mean, they arrested people in motor vehicle offices for, fraudulently issuing driver's licenses. So I thought maybe it was that. But, I have a passport, so it won't really matter to me. But the whole thing, I don't get it,
When you say the whole thing, you don't get it, what do you mean?
I don't understand. We jumped through hoops to get these driver's even this year. Last year my wife, she had to take off her glasses to get her license renewed. They said, how's this picture look? She said, I don't know. I can't see without my glasses. Which is, that's a true story.
Here's what you need to understand about it is when you jump through the hoops, don't be surprised when they keep putting up new hoops for you to jump through. I mean, this is how government works. When the government creates regulations and businesses jump through the regulations, there's more regulations they put on them. When there's more hoops at the airport, then there's more hoops at the airport after that, because obedience results in people becoming more obedient through more coercion, more restrictions being placed down upon them. The government says, oh, well, look, let us get away with this, so let's try getting away with this now. Thanks for the call, Carl. Appreciate it. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, and most of the time they get away with it. 855-450-3733, because most Americans are too cowardly to say no. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing health care for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. When I found the Free State Project, I knew it was the key to achieving liberty in my lifetime. It's awesome to be surrounded by like-minded, freedom-loving activists who've moved here to New Hampshire. From politics to civil disobedience, we have it all. Where I came from, it felt that no matter what I did, liberty was dying. Perhaps you feel the same way? Call 888-377-2515 now to learn more about the Free State Project. That's 888-377-2515 or visit freestateproject.org.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, January 9th, 2016. Silver is trading at $13.95 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,105 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $450. Antiwar.com reports Syrian peace talks scheduled for later this month as part of a UN Security Council endorsed roadmap for peace still remain in doubt as no rebel factions have agreed to actually attend yet. The rebels on Friday reiterated a large number of demands for the government before they'll consider taking part. The rebels also took a shot at the UN mediators for trying to convince them to take part in the talks without such preconditions, insisting that the UN push for peace was only going to prolong the war and prevent any settlement of the conflict. In addition to the reluctance of the rebels to agree to join, it's unclear which rebels will even be invited, as the U.S., Russia, and other nations have not formally agreed on a list of who is a proper rebel and who is a terrorist to be excluded. While the talks were announced weeks ago and there was seemingly plenty of time, there's just a couple of weeks remaining before the planned talks now, and with little progress being made, it could end up another peace meeting in which only one side is represented. You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on Friday announced that 5 states that have not yet complied with a 10-year-old federal law mandating stricter driver's license requirements intended to bolster national security will have another 2 years to do so. Department of Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson said on Friday that complying with the department's Real ID law, passed in 2005, is critical to U.S. security and that it makes obtaining a phony state-issued ID tougher for potential criminals. To date, 23 states and territories are fully compliant, and 24 have made enough progress to earn additional time to comply. One particular pinch residents of the non-compliant states would feel is that they would need to present a different form of government identification, such as a passport, to board domestic flights, as a driver's license would no longer get them past airport security checkpoints. Some had feared the change would take effect this year, but Friday's announcement means travelers in those states will be able to use their driver's licenses to board flights until at least January 22nd of 2018. Johnson said beginning on October 1st, 2020, all travelers must possess fully Real ID compliant ID to board domestic flights. In a news release on Friday, Johnson said over the next 2 years, those states that are not Real ID compliant are strongly encouraged to meet the requirements of the law for the benefit of their residents. Although the law was passed a decade ago, it has not yet been enforced pertaining to air travel. Officials said Friday's extension is intended to give states time to make the necessary changes, such as new laws to comply with the Real ID Act.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a New York City police sergeant is facing internal disciplinary charges for her role in the chokehold death of an unarmed man whose fatal police encounter in 2014 spurred nationwide protest. Police officials said Sergeant Kizzy Adonis was served with department charges on Friday and placed on modified duty. Adonis is the first officer to be formally charged with wrongdoing in connection with the death of Eric Garner. Adonis was supervising officers at the scene, and the department did not specify the exact charges she faces. The police department had put its internal review on hold at the request of federal prosecutors, but police said the decision to bring department charges against Adonis was prompted by a disciplinary statute of limitations that applied to her case, but not to the case of Daniel Pantaleo. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
A prison rights group protests the treatment of supervillains in the nation's magnetic detainment cubes. A local dad thought he could make it out of a zoo without buying his kids light-up shit, and a pigeon wishes just once it could complete a head movement smoothly. This is the Onion Week in Review. Millions of frustrated Americans across the country asked this week why the nation's struggling mental health system couldn't just get it together and stop feeling sorry for itself. Exasperated citizens told reporters that they had lost all patience with the ailing network's failure to perform basic tasks, such as routine mental health evaluations and emergency counseling.
Look, I get it. Everyone goes through a rough patch. Just look at the education system. I know times are tough, but things are never going to improve unless the system decides it wants to get better.
In other news, a new study finds that more men are opting to be in the room when their wife conceives their baby. An area man is unaware all of his friends think of him when they want to put things into perspective, and 36 chemical and emotional responses are activated by the phrase pigs in a blanket.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You may join us here on the radio waves. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
Live Saturday edition of the program. The news, apparently, is the federal government has backed down on their promise to cram Real ID down various different states' throats, saying that there was a lot of headlines about a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, which were saying, in early 2016, these states, and I think it was New York, New Hampshire, and a few others,
Right.
These states will no longer be able to travel without a passport.
And the interesting thing, that original story only had one state that is not actually compliant and does not have a waiver, and that would be Minnesota. The other states listed in that article from like November, I think it was, they all have waivers except for Minnesota and American Samoa, which is not a state and will never be able to be in compliance with Real ID because people in Minnesota are not American citizens. So
Wait, in American Samoa, not Minnesota.
That's what I said. In American Samoa,
they said Minnesota. Anyway, go ahead.
In American Samoa, they will never be able to comply with Real ID because they're nationals, not citizens.
Unless they become a state. Right.
Or unless Congress passes a law granting them citizenship instead of just saying you're a U.S. national but not a citizen.
Do Puerto Ricans have citizenship, or are they nationals as well?
The only American territory where the people living there are not citizens is American Samoa.
Now, what is the definition of a national compared to a citizen? Because
all citizens are nationals, but not all nationals are citizens.
Now, the definition of a citizen is one who has a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection, which, of course, we know the federal government does not actually have an obligation to provide.
Well, that's the Black Law Dictionary. That's not
the dictionary
US
definition, too.
Right, but that's not what the U.S. federal government defines it as.
Okay.
And I don't
Where
have
do you look up their definition, then, if it's not one of those?
I don't have it in front of me, but they say in the 14th Amendment that everybody born in the United States is a citizen.
Sure, saying someone's a citizen doesn't actually mean anything, though, right? It's like
they're saying that everybody born in the United States is a citizen, with the exception of people that live in American Samoa.
Who are nationals.
They're nationals.
But I guess what I want to know is, what is the difference between the two?
The operative difference is that if someone from American Samoa wants to move to the U.S. mainland permanently, not just come on a visit, but they want to move to California, they can move to California, but they cannot do things such as vote because they're not citizens. You have to be a citizen in order to vote.
So they would have to apply for citizenship.
They would have to apply for citizenship.
Would that be different from immigrating, or would that be basically immigrating?
It would be different from immigrating.
Wow, what a complicated system.
But they go to the front of the line because they're a national.
Got it.
But, yeah, it's completely convoluted, and basically they're a second-class... I can't say second-class citizen because the U.S. government does not recognize them as having citizenship.
Well, right.
They're not a citizen of any country in the world. They're a U.S. national.
Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. I'll have to check Black's dictionary then and see what their definition of national is, just to compare the actual legal definitions of these two.
There's something interesting about American Samoa because, as a territory, they have a non-voting representative in Congress.
Okay.
That non-voting representative in Congress has filed a federal lawsuit claiming that the status of American Samoans being nationals and not citizens is unfair and in violation of the 14th Amendment.
What is he seeking?
Citizenship. He wants citizenship for everybody in American Samoa.
But what's the benefit?
The benefit is if you want to get off the tiny little island and come to the U.S., like the mainland U.S., and
you can if you just want to visit.
You can, but then you have to jump through hoops and hurdles if you want to do anything other than just visit.
But then you got to get their government ID, the real ID. And now they don't have to because they're they're not citizens.
The passport, they can get passports, but the passport specifically says national. So on wherever somewhere in there, it'll say U.S. national. So it specifies that they are not a citizen.
All right, our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. So the good news is the federal government has backed down again on the supposed deadline that was going to force these people in the various different states to supposedly have to fly with a passport, which, as you've already pointed out, Darryl, is you don't even apparently have to fly with any ID as long as you're willing to jump through some hoops and be questioned and interrogated, harassed by the TSA.
So to date, only 23 states and territories are fully compliant with Real ID.
That's great news. Not even half.
24 have made enough progress to earn additional time to comply. There are 3 territories being reviewed for the extension. and there are five states that are listed as non-compliant. So
Is New
5
Hampshire
states
one of the
plus
states?
1 territory. New Hampshire actually has an extension.
So it's not yet non-compliant because of the extension.
Right.
But what after?
So the non-compliant states are Illinois, Minnesota, Missouri, New Mexico, and Washington. So technically, yes, everybody that has an extension is not compliant.
Got it.
But
I just didn't know if New Hampshire jumped. It sounded like they might have jumped through an arbitrary hoop or something, or they just asked for an extension.
They asked for an extension and got one.
Let's go to your calls and thoughts. Jim is listening in Indianapolis to WIBC FM. Hello, Jim. You're on with Ian and Darryl on Free Talk Live.
Oh, good evening, gentlemen. One of the big misconceptions on the 14th Amendment citizenship. If you read the 14th Amendment, it does say that those who are born in the United States and are subject to the laws thereof. Now, an infant cannot be subject to any laws. They can be protected by them, but they are not subject to them because a kid, an infant especially, cannot commit a crime. You can't be subject to a law.
I don't know about that. Tell that to Elian Gonzalez. I mean, tell that to the various different kids who've been stolen.
Gonzalez was not born in the United States.
There are plenty of kids born in the United States who've been stolen from their parents. I mean, those kids have been turned into political footballs.
We're talking about protected by as opposed to subject to. Until you can become a criminal, you cannot become a citizen. You cannot have allegiance until you can have disallegiance.
When does one become a citizen then?
One becomes a citizen when one is subject to the laws, and assuming that they are born in the United States.
If a baby is stolen from the arms of a mother and put into the arms of the father or vice versa, then that baby has become subject to the laws, has it not? It's being handled and manipulated by the state.
No, the baby is protected by the laws.
That doesn't sound like protection. That sounds like a scary situation. I mean, can you imagine being stolen from your mother's arms? That sounds not like protecting to me.
You are protected. You are totally being protected by the laws. You are not subject to the laws.
It seems like a ridiculous distinction.
Hold on, I'm curious more about this. You're not born a citizen; you become one. So, at what point during my life did I become a citizen without actually filing a paperwork saying I wish to become a citizen?
You always, if you're born in this country, you have the right to become a citizen as soon as you can become subject to the laws.
So when is that?
Somewhere. There is the gray area, but I guarantee you, an infant is not. An infant.
So you don't know. You don't know when someone becomes subject to the laws.
I think that different people can become subject to the laws at different times.
Does it have to do with when you understand the laws?
Right from wrong. Yeah.
Right from wrong. Well, the laws don't have anything to do with right from wrong.
Well, you have to take that piece up. But what I'm saying is an infant is not automatically a citizen.
I heard what you're saying there, but it sounds like you don't really know when someone becomes a citizen. You're just saying there's some arbitrary time frame.
I don't have to know when to answer the question. What I'm trying to tell you is a baby is not automatically
All right,
a citizen.
I got you. Thanks for the call tonight, Jim. I don't know if the U.S. government would agree with you, but thanks for your interpretation. Yeah, I don't think they do. I think they think that everyone is a citizen as soon as they're pumped out of their mother's womb.
Yes.
If it's in the United States. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And if you're like our earlier caller, the lady who is ostensibly a U.S. citizen but was birthed in Germany and has a German birth certificate, she apparently is just SOL. She's in like legal no man's land where she can't even get a passport.
Been trying for 10 years.
Yep. Toll-free number 855-450-3733. You can join us here. Your thoughts on Real ID, obeying the state, becoming a citizen? All of those things are good. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
If you're not a smoker, please cover your ears, because the following incredible free money-saving offer is not for you. The makers of O2 Pure's revolutionary e-cigarette are now giving away free starter kits to all smokers who call in the next 10 minutes. Valued at $99, these starter kits are available for free, but only while supplies last. To guarantee your free kit, simply call in the next 10 minutes. 1-800-691-5458. The advanced O2 Pure design creates a pleasant vapor. There's no foul-smelling smoke and no nasty tar. So you can enjoy the nicotine you love whenever and wherever you are. Even better, you could also save yourself a ton of money, hundreds of dollars a month with O2 Pure. Again, free starter kits are now available to any smoker who calls in the next 10 minutes. This is a radio-only offer, not available in stores. So call now for your free kit. 1-800-691-5458. 1-800-691-5458. 1-800-691-5458.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joel Wallach, veterinarian and naturopathic physician. The Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy with an important message. Take charge of your health. Do not continue to blindly follow the system that has failed us all. I appreciate GCN listeners because you're open-minded and intelligent. If our system is so great, why is it that the United States, the USA, ranks nearly 60th worldwide in longevity and number 1 in obesity? All the while we spend more money than all the other countries combined annually on unnecessary healthcare procedures and toxic drugs. It doesn't take much to get on track. Not with the government or pharmaceutical companies, but rather you in control of your own health with a basic understanding of nutrition and supplementation. FDI Longevity has the finest quality health, sports, and energy supplements available. GCN listeners are invited to join our team of people who want to stay healthy well into old age. We are currently looking for specialists to represent FDI Longevity and Save America. To buy products at wholesale prices or join our business team, go to GCNteam.com. That's GCNteam.com. Support GCN. Get healthy.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nestle Toll House Morsels, helping you create special moments and memories your family will cherish forever. Visit us at tollhouse.com. You may bake for birthdays and holidays, but why stop there? Sweeten up the rest of the year by designating monthly dessert days. Treat your family to one of their favorites or surprise them with something new. Either way, you'll create a tradition everyone will love. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It is Free Talk Live, the live Saturday edition of the show. We've got time for you if you want to join us here. Plenty of it, in fact. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Joining you in studio, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
855-450-3733. The Liberty Forum is coming up. It's actually just about a month or so away here. We got just about 5 or so weeks till February 18th. Liberty Forum happens Thursday, February 18th through the 21st. That's a Sunday, so the whole weekend in Manchester, New Hampshire at the Radisson Hotel, right in the heart of downtown Manchester. The Radisson is the premier hotel for conventions in New Hampshire. The convention space doesn't get bigger than this, so it's an amazing event. There are hundreds of people who care about the ideas of liberty who will be converging upon the Liberty Forum. Many of them are coming to see some great speeches and presentations, like Edward Snowden, who's going to be presenting on Saturday during the Liberty Forum. That's going to be a big, big turnout, I'm sure. And by the way, Edward Snowden cannot come in reality, so he'll be coming via a video link. But you can go to nhlibertyforum.com, and that's where you can get your tickets right now. Lock in your hotel rooms. From what I saw today on the Free State Project's website, the hotel rooms are going fast. So if you're going to be going to the Liberty Forum, it's best to be in the actual hotel. It's just easiest. That's kind of where a lot of the parties happen after hours, and if you're going to be drinking, then you certainly don't want to be driving, and it's a little easier to get back to your room if it's 2 floors up rather than 2 blocks away. So you want to get all the details nailed down now. nhlibertyforum.com, February 18th through the 21st. By the way, we're going to be there broadcasting live, so we'll look forward to seeing you in attendance at the New Hampshire Liberty Forum, which is the 9th ever Liberty Forum, and hopefully we'll be celebrating the completion of the Free State Project.
At 94% right now.
94% of its goal of 20,000 signatures, 20,000 people who, like you and I, Darryl, have signed a statement that has said they will move to New Hampshire within 5 years of that number hitting 20,000 and then get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. It's a huge project, and it's just getting started. So don't miss out on this. Get signed up over at freestateproject.org. Let's go to the phones and to the fun. First up, we got Rick. He is listening in Michigan to WWCK in Flint. Hey, hey, Rick.
Hey, how you doing?
Go ahead, sir.
Well, you were talking about the 14th Amendment of immigration now. The 14th Amendment was originally written for the freed slaves that were denied their rights of civil rights as a citizen. And, of course, Howard Jacobs, who was a Republican senator from Michigan in 1866, co-wrote the 13th Amendment, also the 14th Amendment. And, of course, it said in there that when somebody comes over and has a baby, an illegal alien, this does not mean people that can come over that are foreigners, aliens, ambassadors, children, or any members of families from governments from other countries. And so it specifically states right there that the people that are coming into this country illegally or come here to visit or are on a worker's permit or something like that and have a child here does not mean that the child is an American citizen. It says right there on the 14th Amendment.
Actually, most of what you just said is not in the 14th Amendment. Most of what you said is in other statutes that interpret the 14th Amendment. So, yes, there is an exemption in statute to children born to ambassadors from foreign countries.
Yeah,
but there's nothing in statute or in the 14th Amendment that says that if someone is here from Mexico and they have a child, that child is not a U.S. citizen. Because
no, if they're from Mexico and they come into this country legally and they have a child here, then the child is necessarily a citizen of the United States. But if they come here just to visit Disneyland or come on over or whatever, and they happen to have a child here, I'm sorry. And if they're going to plant that on Ted Cruz, where his mom was up in there.
I think you're incorrect about that. My understanding is that if people do have a child in the United States, that child is generally considered a citizen.
Unless the child is born to a foreign diplomat, the head of state of a foreign government, or to some other person.
But to just two average people, it's supposed to be a citizen.
Two average people. That child would be a U.S. citizen.
So, Rick, I think you're full of it.
Aren't they supposed to be checked on their loyalty to their country? Like, when they come into this country and they
how
have
are you going to check a fetus on their loyalty?
Actually, they're going to have to give away their citizenship of their country that they came from, because we just don't. When legal citizens come here, they have to swear allegiance to this country. And so we got illegal people coming in here having babies, and they haven't sworn allegiance to this country.
Who cares? I mean, who wants to swear allegiance?
I've not sworn allegiance to this country.
Yeah, I don't want to swear. Well, I did when I was a little kid, but I didn't know what it meant. So I have no interest in swearing allegiance.
I've not knowingly and intentionally as an
into this
adult.
Country as a constitutional republic.
So that's supposed to change how I feel about it? It's still the world's tyrant, sir.
You don't have to necessarily agree with what the government is doing. You don't have to necessarily agree with the government is doing. But what is our Constitution is more important than the government.
It's not my Constitution. I didn't sign it.
Oh, my goodness. Why do you live here?
Well, I just happen to be born here, and it's one of the more free places on
Well,
earth.
if you
And
don't
I'd like
like
to.
the Constitution, why don't you pack it up and get out of here?
Well, because I want things to be better than the Constitution.
You know, I remember when I was younger when people could disagree about whether or not the United States government was the greatest government in the world, and people would say, well, you've got a different opinion. It's a free country. And now the response when somebody has a different opinion is, if you don't like it, leave.
Yeah.
No, you don't get to tell me where to leave. If you kick me out of this country, two questions.
We're going to protect the Constitution.
Two questions for you. Two questions for you. If you deport me out of this country,
he can't hear you when he's talking.
I've got two questions for you. If you deport me out of this country because I don't sufficiently love it, as you say, where the hell are you going to send me because my family came here in the 1600s? So are you going to deport me to a country I've never been to?
So if I retrace my family, it goes back to the 1600s too.
Hey, it's a family measuring contest.
Right,
So
but I'm not the one saying that you should be deported out of the country.
The Constitution. You are not satisfied with the Constitution. You're not satisfied with the first 10 amendments.
So you're satisfied with a multi-trillion-dollar federal government?
You're not satisfied with the Bill of Rights, which is right on the first 10 amendments on the Constitution. You are not satisfied with the First Amendment, right? You want to get away with the Second Amendment, right?
Of freedom of speech.
Your ass from the government from coming after you,
the government
right?
doesn't protect me.
You want to do away with all that stuff, right?
And now let me ask you question number 2. If I do get deported somewhere, then that makes me subject to American foreign policy and the possible target of their drone missiles and all of the other stuff that they drop on people around the world. So why would I subject myself to American foreign policy?
If you want to go to a socialist country of your choosing, that's fine.
You're the one telling me to leave the country. I'm asking you where to go and why should I be subject to American foreign policy?
He can't hear you. If he's talking, you can obviously tell he can't hear. Rick, thanks for the call tonight. Appreciate it. You just want to use force on peaceful people, and it's a shame. Try leaving people alone. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. I like a lot of what's in the Constitution. I like the Bill of Rights, and most of it is pretty decent. But it obviously hasn't done anything to keep the government small, to keep the government of any kind of respectable size. It's a humongous government that polices the world. What's there to love about that? It's Free Talk Live.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com or call 800-544-3533.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading on Friday, gold is $6 lower at $1,103 per ounce. Silver is down 23 cents at $14.13 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $456 US. There was an estimated $2.5 trillion loss of equities value so far this year. There's something to keep an eye on, and maybe give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or go online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. And can you love the place you live without loving its government? The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Because the suggestion, the overt anger of that last caller was the idea that, what? You don't love this government's constitution? How dare you? You need to leave this place. Get out, I say. And there was a lot of crosstalk and shouting, and hopefully people won't be so nasty as we continue the show here tonight, because people get all upset when you don't just fall in line and worship the same symbols that they do. I don't have allegiance to this country. This is why if I were to ever be elected here in New Hampshire, I do run for political office here from time to time, as have you, Darryl, to be fair.
Yes.
I don't think I could swear the oath of office, because the oath of office says that you swear allegiance to the United States here in New Hampshire. It also says you swear allegiance to the state of New Hampshire, and I certainly can't swear allegiance to the United States, nor would I really want to swear allegiance to the state of New Hampshire. I don't want to be allied with or a liege of any state.
Right. I don't think I could ever take the oath of office.
What do you think would happen? I guess that office would go unfilled, right? They would just say, sorry.
They would probably consider you to have resigned, and then there are procedures in place to fill a vacancy.
Fill the seat. So that's not to say I don't love where I live. I love the people. I think the people in America are, by and large, good folks. I love the idea of being free. I love that concept. I love the idea of freedom. That's why I moved to New Hampshire. You talk about if you don't like it, leave. Well, I didn't like it, so I left Florida and moved to New Hampshire, where other people who also didn't like it where they were, like you in Texas, Darryl, moved to be together in the same place so we could actually have some shot at being more free in our lifetime, which in my opinion will consist of telling the federal government to screw themselves. We don't want anything to do with it. And that doesn't mean that we don't love freedom. That means we love freedom more than most people, because most people aren't willing to do anything about it. They'll just complain, or they'll call talk radio and bitch and moan about the things that are wrong. Oh,
you need to leave.
Or we need to elect so-and-so to fix everything. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, that whoever it is that gets elected in 2016 is not going to fix a damn thing, certainly not in your favor. If they fix something, it'll be in the favor of their campaign contributors and the rest of their buddies in Washington, D.C.
I still want to know, if I'm to be deported because I don't sufficiently love America, where would I be deported to? And
I don't think they care about that anywhere but here.
Why should I be subject to American foreign policy that bombs countries all around the world?
Let's go to your calls and your thoughts. You can join us here. 855-450-FREE is the number. 855-450-3733. Also, you can Skype in. No Skype calls yet tonight. Skype username is LRN.FM. Let's go to D on the line in Myrtle Beach. D, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's on your mind?
Yeah, I was listening to your call earlier, and you guys were talking about something about if you were born in the United States and what keeps you a citizen, what makes you a citizen. If you were, it was before the
right. So the caller
earlier
was saying that based on the 14th Amendment that says that everyone born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof is given citizenship. And he was saying an infant cannot be subject to the laws or subject to the jurisdiction. So toddlers are not citizens, but he could not specify when in the course of someone's life they become a citizen of some place.
Well, how could he not, say that, though? Because, whenever I was born, I was born right here in, Horry County, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And whenever I was born, I was born at a hospital. The hospital, gave me I got my birth certificate and I got my Social Security card. Of course, I got them in the mail, or my mother did, and doesn't that make me a citizen?
That's evidence of citizenship, but wouldn't the government argue that even if you didn't get the Social Security card, that you would still be a citizen?
Yes.
I know that. I'm just saying that.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Because there are some parents out there, and I think they're heroes, who don't get their kids those, they don't fill out that paperwork. They'll have like a home birth.
Yeah, there's a friend of ours, or at least an acquaintance of ours, that had a baby, no documents, so no birth certificate, no Social Security card, none of that. So this child born in Arizona is an undocumented human.
Does that mean that person is still a citizen, though?
Well, I would say absolutely.
The U.S. government is most certainly going to say that the child's a citizen.
So then it's not the paperwork that determines that you're a citizen then. It's just some arbitrary rule that says...
It's somebody saying that you're a citizen.
Right. It's some arbitrary government rule that says if you're pumped out of a woman, you're pumped out of a woman on this particular plot of land, then you are given this mystical thing called citizenship.
U.S. soil, yes,
that's under what they call jus soli, which means the law of the soil.
Which, by the way, I think it's still worth pointing out here that the term, because I didn't really get this point out earlier, the term citizen means that someone who owes a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection. I actually have the Black's Law definition here. A person by either birth or naturalization is a member of a political community, owing allegiance to the community and being entitled to enjoy all its civil rights and protections. A member of the civil state entitled to all of its privileges. So the classic definition here is one who owes a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection, which there is no obligation for the federal government or even the state governments to protect you. So therefore, there could be no citizenship. Right? If I owe something in return for, and they don't provide the return for part, then I don't owe them anything. And that's presuming I agreed to this deal in the first place, which I didn't do, even though they insist that I'm one of their citizens.
And I tried making an argument similar to that in court one time here in New Hampshire. And unfortunately, the police officer did not answer my question. He responded with a question. The judge told him, you need to answer the question. And then I, for some reason, answered the cop's question that he asked me and never got an actual answer. But I didn't realize it at the time until several months later when I happened to be watching my video. It was like, he never answered the question.
Hey, D, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's go to Carlos in Newport News, Virginia, listening to WNIS. Hello, Carlos. You're on Free Talk Live.
Good. How you guys doing?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Nothing. I just felt, turned back a little bit. You almost felt like you contra to the United States and your freedom.
Oh, no. You're confused. I'm in favor of freedom, but I'm against the United States. You believe that someone could have that particular position.
Yeah, I get it, but that's kind of broad, the United States. Are you kidding me?
I'm not against the people of the United States. I'm not against the businesses and the voluntary interactions.
Or the plot of land between two shining seas.
Or the charities that are here in the United States.
I got all that stuff, but I think, you're crossing the line, nothing's perfect, and I just think this is like a show for, to sell a propaganda show, to show commercials. Are you kidding me?
Every show's a propaganda show, dude.
Yeah, it is. But I'll tell you what, in this day and time, are you kidding me?
When you say "are you kidding me," what are you referring to?
Just the negativism about the United States and the policies and all that good stuff.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you specific questions about American policy that has been approved by the U.S. Congress over the last, I'm not even going to go back the full 200 and some odd years, but the $18 trillion debt that is going to continue skyrocketing. Good or bad policy?
Hold that thought, Carlos. We'll get Carlos's answers here. If you'll stick with us, we'll bring you back, Carlos. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Darryl has a few questions, and if Carlos doesn't want to answer, maybe someone else will. 855-450-3733. You can join us here on the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Joel Wallach, the Mineral Doctor. You've heard me talk about 90 for Life for years. 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 fatty acids. You may not know this, that I've actually designed Arthrodex for animals. That's right. Your pets need 90 for Life, too. Get this essential pet product by calling 877-279-9422. That's 877-279-9422. Again, 877-279-9422.
You haven't experienced yogurt until you've tried a Mossy, embodying health and flavor in a true whole milk, green-fed dairy beverage. Every sip pays homage to our old world cows and the ancient culturing methods their milk benefits from. With over 30 probiotics, a Mossy's undeniably nutritious, refined, cultured sensation bolsters your health and awakens your passion for dairy. A Mossy's so good, and you need to try it. Contact your Youngevity distributor or call 877-878-4203 or go to gcnteam.com.
This is the Onion Week in Review, pushed to the breaking point after constantly being taken to task without ever hearing a word of thanks for what it does around here. An overwhelmed and infuriated nation announced Wednesday that it was trying, okay? Jesus Christ. A poll of the American populace revealed that 33% felt they were doing pretty damn well, all things considered, while another 28% just wanted 2 measly minutes without somebody breathing down their damn neck. A group of female friends spent a raucous night on the town Thursday validating the living shit out of each other.
You're the most talented person I know.
Eyewitness reports say the women absolutely went to town on a session of non-judgmental reassurances.
Last night was crazy. I don't even remember half the uplifting things I said to Karen. We've always been the kind of group that listens hard and consoles even harder.
And in other news, a group of semester at sea students steal an anchor for their dorm room. A 5-year-old wants to be an overworked Haitian nanny when he grows up. And every group of friends at a karaoke bar ruins every other group's night.
This is the Onion News Network.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us right here toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Darryl, we have really stepped in it here tonight. Boy, oh boy, we've insulted people's religion here on Free Talk Live.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm talking about the religious belief that many of you have in the state. Yeah, that's right. You don't think of it as a religious belief, but boy, do people react in a very similar manner as someone who is a, dyed-in-the-wool fundamentalist Christian might react if one were to tell that person that they didn't agree with their viewpoint or didn't believe in God at all, for instance. And by the way, I'm a religious person, as are you, Darryl. We both believe in God, but maybe not necessarily the same one, because a lot of people seem to believe that the state is their God. That this idea, this nebulous concept of the state, the United States of America, or China, or whatever the arbitrary landmass that we're talking about here, where there are men and women who are just like you and I, who are trying to forcing their viewpoint on all of us, while at the same time telling us that we asked for it. Oh, well, you voted for these politicians, so therefore you should just, you get what you get. Well, no, I didn't vote for most of these politicians. Pretty much everyone in office I generally didn't vote for at the federal level. Locally, there's a guy I voted
think, for. 2 people in city council positions that I have voted for.
Locally,
that wound up getting elected.
Yeah, but generally, federal level, no. I don't think I voted for anyone that's ever gotten elected.
Oh, and there was a mayor in Latrobe, Pennsylvania, when I lived there, that I voted for.
And just because I vote for someone doesn't mean I endorse everything that they do. I could be voting for someone because they're the lesser of the evils, and I don't want to be subject to more evil, so I will vote for the lesser of the evils in that case. Now, let's go back to Carlos. He's on the line with us here. Darryl, you had some questions. Can you recap your first question for Carlos as we bring him back here?
Yeah, the first question.
Virginia.
Do you think this is good policy or bad policy, the $18 trillion national debt that is only going to continue increasing into the foreseeable future?
Oh, well, obviously, it's bad policy. Are you kidding me?
Okay.
You're a little muffled, by the way, Carlos. I don't know if you're on a headset or speakerphone or something like that.
Having nearly 900 military bases in over 130 nations around the world. Good policy or bad policy?
Well, it depends. Okay, it depends why, what's going on as far as that goes. I think it's a good policy in respect where we share our culture with them, and not
sharing
on them. But
that's kind of an interesting term to use for forcing your culture on somebody else. A military base, by its nature, is a sort of an indicator of violence. It's an indicator of the force that is being used against that country without the consent of the people who are there, by the way.
Well, it depends if there's consent or not. And I was stationed out in the Canal Zone, and we were part of their community and their culture.
Do you think they all wanted you there?
They loved it when we left after the Carter Treaty in 2000 and whatever, when they turned over back to Panama.
You said they loved it when you left?
Yeah, when I left there and the treaty expired, they was all pissed off. I'm married to a Panamanian, so in that aspect, hello.
Yep, we're right here.
Yeah, in that aspect, there was some good contributions and stuff like
So
that.
he's saying he does support the 900 military bases, Darryl.
Yes. The drug war that cost billions of taxpayer dollars and sees
every year
probably nearly 1 million people arrested every year. Good policy or bad policy?
Well, that's in regards to the United States went out there, and matter of fact, my neighbor got killed, 19-year-old kid, 17-year-old kid, when I was in Panama, and we went out there to get Noriega. So it's all politics and all that good stuff,
But didn't answer the question. Did he answer the question? I don't think I heard an answer.
Did not directly answer the question. What about subsidies to farmers that wind up costing millions of dollars annually? Good policy or bad policy?
In respect to Panama, or
no, we're talking about the United States.
United States policy. We're talking about the U.S. federal government. You were saying that I don't sufficiently love the government, and I'm going over some policies that I believe are all bad policies. I'm curious if you agree or disagree. The subsidies that the U.S. federal government gives to farmers, do you think that's good policy or bad policy?
I think it's good and bad. Depends on what the culture is.
Where are you What are you driving at? I mean, Darryl. Well, obviously we knew that you were going to disagree with Carlos.
It depends on. Okay, we're talking about.
We got your answer, Carlos. I want to know where Darryl's going with this.
Right. I'm showing a bunch of various policies that I believe are all bad.
Right.
I can't think of a federal government policy that I think is a good one.
Okay.
So
I'm with you.
The point is that I disagree.
Hold on, Carlos.
I disagree with everything that the U.S. federal government does. So if the claim is I don't sufficiently love the government, please tell me something that I should agree with them on, or how many things can I disagree with them on and still, in your opinion, be allowed to stay in the jurisdiction claimed as the United States?
Well, first of all, you got to understand nothing is perfect, okay?
Never said
Number
it was.
One, so you got to stay in that realm. There's no perfect government or whatever. So you got to get off that stuff, that horse, okay?
Nobody was on that horse, dude. You're putting words in his mouth. In fact, we've acknowledged here on this show that the U.S. government has, over the last decade, been falling on the list of economic freedom indexes. There's a couple different economic freedom indexes out there put together on a yearly basis that compares the United States with other countries around the world.
And then there's also the World Freedom Index that the U.S. is falling on that. And there's the Freedom of Speech Index that the U.S. government is falling on.
The U.S. isn't even the most free country in the world, dude.
And they don't do what we do. And
they don't do what we do
only because our freedom and our might. That's it.
Oh, the U.S. military is securing the rest of the world's freedom for them, right?
It's just our reference, our reference to life. Okay, so
brother, you don't know what you're talking about. Thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I'm sorry. It's not the reverence
for life?
It's not the reverence for life in the United States that's inspiring the people to have a pretty much, much more open marketplace in Hong Kong and top the charts year after year for more than a decade on the economic freedom charts. I doubt they're really thinking and reflecting on how great the United States is in the process of making buku dollars over there through their economic freedoms.
If anything, I would say that most people in the United States have a reverence for death. Because
by the fact
they will always say, people died for your rights. No, I don't have rights because of a human sacrifice.
That's true. You have rights because you're a human being and because rights are a good idea for humans to respect in one another. Let's go to continuing with your calls. Actually, Annie is on the line in St. George, Utah, listening to KZNU. Annie, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hello, I called in about this citizenship for children.
Sure.
I worked over in Southeast Asia, Vietnam and Laos and Thailand. And our daughter was born in Thailand, and she was given a birth certificate and a passport right away. And the reason I remember it so clearly is Henry Kissinger signed for her passport.
Okay.
So a lot of people don't know how things work, and she had when you're born in Thailand at that time, anyone born at that time, up until 1978, automatically had dual citizenship. So she has a Thai birth certificate and an American birth certificate, and it's a State Department birth certificate for a child of a U.S. citizen.
So you got a birth certificate from the U.S. government by applying to them and letting them know, hey, we had a kid over here?
They make it. They have them made up for the children of the Americans working over there.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I didn't have to. I never filled out an application. Well, it was kind of complicated because I was over in Thailand around, and it was my job to get the planes. All the planes in the Royal Air Force belonged to the CIA, and it was my project to get them out of there. And on my last trip, I got captured, so I was a POW, and that's why Henry Kissinger was involved.
Thanks for your story tonight, Annie. Appreciate it. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We do have a number of folks who want to continue this discussion about freedom, the United States, and you're welcome to join us. You can also bring up anything that is on your mind here tonight. It's Ian and Darryl, the live Saturday edition. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can join us also via Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. This is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves because you still have a little bit of that freedom left, the freedom of speech, although the U.S. government has been doing their best to eviscerate that too.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a Liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene and the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, January 9th, 2016. Silver is trading at $13.95 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,105 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $450. Antiwar.com reports Syrian peace talks scheduled for later this month as part of a UN Security Council-endorsed roadmap for peace still remain in doubt as no rebel factions have agreed to actually attend yet. The rebels on Friday reiterated a large number of demands for the government before they'll consider taking part. The rebels also took a shot at the UN mediators for trying to convince them to take part in the talks without such preconditions, insisting that the UN push for peace was only going to prolong the war war and prevent any settlement of the conflict. In addition to the reluctance of the rebels to agree to join, it's unclear which rebels will even be invited, as the U.S., Russia, and other nations have not formally agreed on a list of who is a proper rebel and who is a terrorist to be excluded. While the talks were announced weeks ago and there was seemingly plenty of time, there's just a couple of weeks remaining before the planned talks now, and with little progress being made, it could end up another peace meeting in which only one side is represented.
You can support FPP Radio by shopping online. Whether you're looking for precious metals, bitcoins, or books, you'll find that and more at shop.fppradio.com. Every purchase you make from one of my affiliates at shop.fppradio.com helps fund FPP Radio. Or you can shop directly from FPP with Bitcoin in the Bitcoin store. That's shop.fppradio.com.
UPI reports the U.S. Department of Homeland Security on Friday announced that 5 states that have not yet complied with a 10-year-old federal law mandating stricter driver's license requirements intended to bolster national security will have another 2 years to do so. Department of Homeland Secretary Jay Johnson said on Friday that complying with the department's Real ID law, passed in 2005, is critical to U.S. security and that it makes obtaining a phony state-issued ID tougher for potential criminals. To date, 23 states and territories are fully compliant, and 24 have made enough progress to earn additional time to comply. One particular pinch residents of the non-compliant states would feel is that they would need to present a different form of government identification, such as a passport, to board domestic flights, as a driver's license would no longer get them past airport security checkpoints. Some had feared the change would take effect this year, but Friday's announcement means travelers in those states will be able to use their driver's licenses to board flights until at least January 22nd of 2018. Johnson said beginning on October 1st, 2020, all travelers must possess fully Real ID compliant ID to board domestic flights. In a news release on Friday, Johnson said over the next 2 years, those states that are not Real ID compliant are strongly encouraged to meet the requirements of the law for the benefit of their residents. Although the law was passed a decade ago, it has not yet been enforced pertaining to air travel. Officials said Friday's extension is intended to give states time to make the necessary changes, such as new laws to comply with the Real ID Act.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
Reuters reports a New York City police sergeant is facing internal disciplinary charges for her role in the chokehold death of an unarmed man whose fatal police encounter in 2014 spurred nationwide protest. Police officials said Sergeant Kizzy Adonis was served with department charges on Friday and placed on modified duty. Adonis is the first officer to be formally charged with wrongdoing in connection with the death of Eric Garner. Adonis was supervising officers at the scene, and the department did not specify the exact charges she faces. The police department had put its internal review on hold at the request of federal prosecutors, but police said the decision to bring department charges against Adonis was prompted by a disciplinary statute of limitations that applied to her case, but not to the case of Daniel Pantaleo. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
From the day an ancient cave dweller painted yet another f***ing elk hunt on a wall in 15,000 BC, to Gary Marshall's 1974 discovery of 13 weather-beaten North Dakotan coal miners that would go on to become the cast of Happy Days, The Onion looks back at This Week in History. On June 17, 1954, the effects of the previous month's historic Supreme Court ruling in Brown versus the Board of Education provided black students with the educational opportunity of experiencing racism firsthand in desegregated schools. Up until that point, African American pupils could only endure racial slurs and death threats in city streets or near their homes. And on June 24, 1784, 13-year-old Edward Warren took the first hot air balloon flight, becoming the first American to urinate on a crowd from 100 feet in the air. And that was what happened this week in history.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the third hour of this live Saturday edition of the program. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
And Darryl.
And our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We started talking about the Real ID, which is one of the latest schemes the federal government wants to shove down the states' throats. And by latest, I mean it actually happened like a decade ago, and several states, I think you said 23 of them, Darryl, are non-compliant for the most part with Real ID.
Actually, only 23 are completely compliant.
Sorry. So the remainder of the states, more than half, are actually not compliant completely with this, and some not compliant at all with this mandate that is, again, unfunded, which is one of the reasons why many of the states are refusing to participate in it. So it's not like they're principled or anything and they care about the freedom of the people and care about opposing a national ID. They're just opposing it out of the fact that they're lazy bureaucrats. But nonetheless, they are opposing it, so I'll support them on it because I am not a fan of the U.S. federal government and the violence that they rain down upon their own people and people all around the globe. And, of course, just simply coming out and being critical of the government, not pledging absolute fealty to it and worshiping its concept and what it's supposed to be. Makes me apparently an enemy. There are some mad people here tonight. Apparently they've been calling the board op and cursing him out. I don't know if they think that it's you or I that's answering the phones, Darryl, back there at the GCN studios.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you to our wonderful board operators for putting up with that. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Let's go to the phones and the fun. We'll talk to Dan. He's in Spiceland, Indiana, listening to WIBC-FM. Hello, Dan.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are you tonight?
Welcome, sir. Great. Go ahead.
Well, first off, I'm going to attempt to answer a question for you without getting into an argument and without cussing and swearing at anybody. So
all right.
Here goes. Earlier, I caught the gist of that woman from Germany that had the German birth certificate.
Yeah, she couldn't get a passport.
To be a U.S. citizen.
Well, she is apparently a U.S. citizen, but they just won't give her a passport.
Okay. I was just wondering, could she renounce that German passport and, apply for an American one?
She never had a German passport. She got a German birth certificate because she was born in Germany.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, you have to forgive me. I was listening in the truck on the way.
No problem. It was a little confusing of a situation.
Yeah, because I would think if you would renounce one, you should be able to get another one if you're already here.
Right. No, she was saying that she's unable to get any passport, and she would like to go on a cruise, and she can't go on the cruise without a passport, and she doesn't have a passport from anywhere.
But yet she does have a driver's license and a Social Security card and all kinds of other trappings of being an American. So it was a very, very bizarre story. Dan, was there other stuff that you want to share with us tonight? Go ahead.
Well, the other thing, too, is the gentleman that earlier was talking about the babies being born not being U.S. citizens and everything.
Yeah, he was incorrect.
I thought that as soon as they yeah, that's what I was going to say. He's on crack because, I mean, as soon as that baby touches someone's hand and that's on American soil, that infant has become an American citizen, period.
He might not like that. He might disagree with that policy, but that is generally the policy. Dan, thanks for calling and sharing your thoughts tonight. Let's continue with David listening in South Boston, Virginia. David, you're on Free Talk Live.
Thank you, fellas. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to listen to you on WLNI out of Lynchburg, and
excellent.
It's raining down here, and it's coming in and out. But I think I heard someone say something about hating the United States, and
I don't hate them. But I mean, I just don't like it.
Coming in and out. Oh, okay. Well, I don't like the government either.
Yeah.
I'm a native-born Virginian. Our family's been here. We can't find when they came here. It's at least 300 years. And I love Virginia. I love it, warts and all. I love what Virginia did for the world by creating this great nation, I think. And I'd like to share a little event with you real quick.
Share a little what?
An event I had that I was real proud of.
Sure.
We're about 25 miles from Red Hill, Patrick Henry's home. That's where new citizens come to be more or less sworn in, and they all have a chance to speak. How glad they are to be new American citizens, and you leave there beaming with pride. And I don't like the government. I don't like what it's doing. It's too big. It's too cumbersome. And I agree with you on that. I wish my radio reception.
Yeah,
was
it
better.
doesn't make you a bad guy. I mean, just because you don't like the government doesn't mean that you don't like freedom. I mean, how someone could conflate the U.S. government with freedom is beyond me, because the U.S. government, everything they do is antithetical to freedom. They are the biggest force in the world to destroy freedom as opposed to anything else out there.
The largest terrorist organization in the world is the United States federal government.
Absolutely.
If we let them, it's our duty when we see it happening. But people are so nonchalant about it. They don't care. They don't care about working to get it back down to size.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from. In fact, I have to say, I'm to the point where I don't think you can get the federal government down to any kind of size. I think that's a hopeless case.
I believe you can. I believe he can.
How?
Like I said, we've been here for 300 years. You and two armies won't take me off my dirt.
The strength of your belief, though, is not going to end the government as we know it. So how do you believe that you can bring it down to size? I mean, get realistic. How are you going to do it?
The best thing we can do is get active or take it to court. The courts is the last resort, but the
courts vote in the favor of the state more often than not.
Yes.
Usually, the courts backing up the size and the scope of the federal government, increasing its power over the people. So, turning to the courts probably isn't going to solve your problem. I don't mind getting active. I've been active for my entire adult life, and that's why I moved to New Hampshire as part of the Free State Project, because I realized that libertarian types like myself need to get together into one geographic area so we can actually have effectiveness when we're active. Because I used to be active alone in Florida, and boy, was that a lonely road.
I'm not so lonely down here in Southside Virginia because we pretty much wrote the book. But we can't do what they're doing out in Oregon now. It makes a loud noise, but it doesn't accomplish anything.
Lots of heat, but little light, perhaps, in that particular.
Yeah, the best people you can know is a judge and a few lawyers.
Thanks for the call, David. I appreciate hearing from you. It certainly never hurts to know the judge. But all that said, knowing a judge isn't going to overturn the federal government's control and power either, nor is getting active. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't want to tell you not to be active. By all means, go ahead and bang your head up against that federal government wall until you're bleeding. And then maybe you'll realize that it's not going to change anything. You can go now. He lives in Virginia, so that's pretty close to D.C. compared to most folks. If he wants to go and wave a sign in Washington D.C., he can certainly do that. You can call some Congress critters and see if they care about what you have to say. You probably won't get them on the phone at any point or get to speak to them at all. But
you'll speak to some probably minimum wage high schooler, and they'll take a note, and who knows if the member of Congress ever actually sees those notes.
We apparently have lost our phone system. Didn't that happen last week at this time, Darryl? Was it Saturday last time when we...
I don't remember if it was Saturday or Sunday, but there was one point where, we had the full bank of callers, and then it just froze and went poof.
It has happened again, so I'm going to give you our alternative number, because we have backup phone lines here, 603-435-1105. It is not toll-free, but you can still call it. Probably most cell phones, you don't have to pay for long distance. So 603-435-1105. If you were on hold and you were expecting to get on to talk to us, please accept my utmost apologies for the technical difficulties. It was no one's fault except for whoever manufactured the phone unit, and it might not have even been their fault. So could have been the phone company's fault.
Anyway, it's a glitch in the Matrix.
603-435-1105. Or you can Skype in, and then you'll sound pretty awesome. The Skype username is LRN.FM. So whatever it is that you want to discuss, whether it's the out-of-control federal government and how exactly you're going to rein that in. I mean, I do love hearing people's grandiose schemes. Usually they involve, throw out the bums. Well, that doesn't work. Because then you usually, if you do get a bum get thrown out, which hardly ever happens because the incumbents usually win.
Another bum takes his place.
Yeah, it's almost always another scumbag, low-life piece of trash politician that takes their place, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. Doesn't matter. So don't call the toll-free line. Call us at 603-435-1105, and we'll get you on the air on Free Talk Live.
This is a life-changing message for anyone with sleep apnea who is on the go and tired of dragging around a big, bulky home CPAP device. MiniCPAP.com now offers a portable device that's as small as a soda can and weighs less than a pound. For even more freedom, you can add a battery that's as tiny as a deck of cards. It's called the Transcend Mini CPAP, and right now you can try it risk-free for 21 days by calling 1-800-939-8536. Transcend is the world's first portable mini CPAP device. It gives you the freedom to sleep in total comfort anywhere you are. Our smallest and most advanced portable design ever, Transcend is so small and so light you can fit it in your briefcase or purse to use anywhere you go. It's FAA compliant too, so you can even sleep comfortably while flying. Enjoy the freedom to sleep comfortably anywhere. Call minicpap.com now for your 21-day in-home trial. 1-800-939-8536. That's 1-800-939-8536.
My name is Don Wiskin. In 1994, I lost my 62-year-old father to complications of bypass surgery. In 1977, my 44-year-old brother was found dead in his apartment. He suffered a heart attack. In January of 98, my mother had a stroke and passed away in her bed. 21 days later, my 53-year-old brother passed away on his arrival to the hospital. He waited too long. In June that same year, I almost joined them at 42. What did I do? I took a 7-herb formula I now call Extendivite, made from garlic, cayenne, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, hawthorn, milk thistle, and valerian. Based on German studies of natural medicine, Extendivite is designed to clear blocked arteries, clean the toxins from your blood, and improve your immune system. To get your Extendivite, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website, heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 90% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited to join us on the radio waves, but the toll-free lines aren't working right now due to some sort of technical difficulties. So instead of that, you can call us at the not toll-free lines, which are 603-435-1105. Those are our backup lines. And those numbers generally work all the time. We just don't give them out. 603-435-1105. And Skype us if you want, and then you'll sound really great. And if you sound really great, then we're more likely to keep you on sometimes. So the Skype username is lrn.fm. Just send a contact request along. We'll approve it as soon as we notice it in our Skype. And then after that, you just hit the call button and you're good to go. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Darryl.
Don't forget, you want to get your shopping done online, go to shop.freetalklive.com. Enter the link you'll find there. There's actually 3 links for Amazon. There's Amazon US, Amazon UK, and Amazon Canada. And then you can purchase whatever it is that you want through those links, and Free Talk Live will get a cut of the sale. It's a very, very simple process, so drop on in there over at shop.freetalklive.com as we go and continue with your calls and thoughts at 603-435-1105. Let's go to Richard in North Carolina. Richard, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hey.
Welcome.
Those discussions about the border states.
Yes.
Up there in Canada. It reminded me of, I've never been to a border state, so I don't know what it's like. But does anybody remember when John McCain was running for president and he was asked at a news conference, what about these borders? And he talked about, if you're here illegally, even if you've been here for years, you should go back, and only the really legal immigrants should be here. And does anybody remember this?
It sounds like everything that every politician says. I mean, most of these guys pander towards the people who don't want folks to come here, because there's a lot of xenophobia inside the United States. And so the politicians know if they pander to xenophobia, and that is the fear of other people from elsewhere, that
people that are different.
Yeah. Then that will give them political points, and they'll be able to win another election. So what John McCain said sounds like what every politician says to me.
Okay, here's the kicker. Does anybody remember when that the researchers said, hey, Mr. McCain, we found 50,000 illegal immigrants in your state of Arizona. And he said that, what will you do as president? And the person said there were 50,000 illegal immigrants from Europe in the state of Arizona. Does anybody remember that?
I'm sure somebody does, but I don't.
Well, what? So what if someone does remember it? Okay, then what?
Well, it matches what the discussion early in the show tonight. That some people get treated at the border. Those border states, they get treated differently.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
It just reminded me of that.
Thank you for the call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you, Richard. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I would say it's true that the police do treat people differently based on their appearance, and that's not okay.
And Arizona, you may recall, is one of the first states that passed these horrible papers, please sort of legislations that authorized police to detain anyone whom they suspected of being in the country illegally after any quote-unquote lawful contact. Seeing a police officer and waving is lawful contact that would then give them the authority under this horrible SB 270 to come over and then say, how are you? Now provide documents that you're here legally.
If you want to join us here, the toll-free lines are now back. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We can also continue with our callers on this side at 603-435-1105. Caller, you're on Free Talk Live, unscreened. Who's this?
This is Don.
Hey, Don.
I was actually holding on the other line, and then I heard that it was going down, so I called on the cost.
Welcome
line.
back. Glad you made it back through. Thanks. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay, well, if that lady who is born in Germany is still listening, I was born in Germany, too, and I tell you, it was easy to get my birth certificate from Germany, because because I emailed, because all you have to do is find the hospital, if you know which hospital you are, and mine was in Würzburg, and they have a website that you can go to, get the email address to the clinic, and I sent generic. I mean, you can also have, the website is in German, but you can have it. You can hit a button and it'll translate to English, so it's very easy.
She's got the birth certificate. She needs a passport from somewhere, and the U.S. government, she says, won't give her one.
Well, that's why. Because see, I ordered mine at 10 o'clock, and I got a response at 6 in the morning, or whatever. They're a few hours ahead of us, and they told me what to do, and so I went ahead and set off for it. You know, the thing that bothered me was they wanted cash, and I thought it was a scam. But I went ahead and did it anyhow. And they did send me 3 copies of my German birth certificate. But when I tried to use it here, the reason I got 3 of them was, Homeland Security got real sticky about getting your driver's license renewed. And I said, well, when I turned 16, I got my driver's license, and nothing's changed. And they said, that's okay. You gotta get a birth certificate. So that's when I pursued that. And then when I brought it into them, they said, no, it's got to be an American. So what she needs to do is contact the American consulate in Virginia, and because apparently, after I was born, my parents had to get a passport for me then, and so they had to get, a recording of birth in Germany, and that was recorded with the American consulate, and they have a record of that. And so if she ever had that done, then she'll be able to get it.
All right, good advice, hopefully. Thank you, Don, for your call tonight. Contact the American consulate. They might be able to help with some sort of acknowledgement of birth. I don't know. It sounds like a confusing mess of bureaucracy to me. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE and 855-450-3733. We'll go to Greg in Anniston, Alabama, listening to WDNG. Hello, Greg.
Yes.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about illegal aliens. I did a little traveling in my lifetime, and I saw some people. I thought they were black, but they weren't. They were speaking different languages, and that I felt very, very, very hysterical about them. It seemed like y'all was playing as a kind of got an attack on it. It was so nervous.
It's kind of hard to understand. Are you having trouble understanding him, Darryl?
I'm having trouble hearing. I can understand what he's saying, but I'm having trouble hearing him.
I want to see if we can get you on a clearer connection here, Greg. Stand by. We're going to try to bring you back, because I do want to know what he's having to say. He says he's really concerned about immigration.
Because he saw people speaking a different language, and that got him concerned.
I want to know more about this, so hopefully we'll be able to get Greg on a clearer connection. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. You can also bring up anything you want. Plus, U.S. Marshals have raided a hoverboard booth at CES.
Hi, I'm Rick Ossick with Famous Footwear. Did you know that premature birth is the #1 killer of babies? That's why we support the March of Dimes in the fight against premature birth. Join us in supporting cutting-edge research, treatment programs, and outreach to help moms have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Learn how you can help save babies' lives at marchofdimes.org.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at survivormax.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Oh, is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
Besides, we just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. The live Saturday edition continues here, and you can join us at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. U.S. Marshals have raided a hoverboard booth at the Consumer Electronics Show. There's video of some of it happening. We'll share some of that with you in moments.
Are these those hoverless hoverboards that have wheels?
This is similar to those hoverboards, but different. I'll explain when we get to the story. It's Ian and Darryl in the studio here. You can join us on Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Free Talk Live is brought to you by Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. You looking for something to do this weekend? You got an hour and a half to kill? Well, check out Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. It's a great documentary movie that I happen to have the pleasure of being the executive producer of. That means that I gave some money and pulled a few strings to kind of make things happen. But ultimately, the creative decisions were in the hands of Derek J. and editor Bo Davis, who you can hear on the commentary tracks, which are only available on the DVD, the Special Director's Cut DVD. But you can watch the movie for free online anytime at victimlesscrimespree.com. It's a great documentary made by Free State Project early movers like us, and about, mostly, Free State Project early movers here in Keene, about a year's worth of some of the activism that happened here, and it turned into a really epic documentary film. So if you haven't seen it yet, go and check it out. It's got over 170,000 views on YouTube as of my most recent check. Go to victimlesscrimespree.com, and if you want to order it on DVD, it's less than $8, and that includes free Super Saver shipping or Amazon Prime if you order the appropriate amounts through Amazon. So go to victimlesscrimespree.com and enjoy. As we go to Greg, we got him on a different line here. It's over on our side, so hopefully it'll sound a little bit better. Greg, you were calling from Anniston, Alabama, expressing some concerns about what you term illegal immigration or illegal immigrants. Can you go ahead and tell us your story? What was it that you encountered or you experienced?
Okay, it's their language. They had black skin, but they were like rushing people away from me. I didn't know what they were saying, and I was really afraid. I think they should be to themselves. They're gonna be here, and they shouldn't speak in public. Because
whoa! Did you just say that they shouldn't speak in public?
No, they shouldn't. They shouldn't.
This is a new one. I have to say, I have heard a lot of things on Free Talk Live over the years.
Yeah. It's confusing. It's confusing.
It's scary to you. You said you were scared by
They
them.
were rushing away from me. Everybody rushing.
So they're not
away from
speaking
me,
Russian. They were rushing away from you.
What language were they speaking?
Maybe I was complaining like the average American, but they were like rushing everybody away from me, and they were looking crazy.
Why, if they were running away from you, were you scared of them?
I didn't understand what they were saying. They were saying shit. They were saying
Oh, you
stuff.
can't say. I'm sorry. We do have to get rid of your call because you can't say the S word on the radio.
I'm wondering if he had encountered some Japanese people that work at the Honda plant about 20 miles away from where he lives.
He said they look black.
I don't know.
You've actually been to Anniston. You know there's a Honda plant there?
There's a Honda plant in Lincoln, Alabama that's 20 miles from Anniston.
Okay. I don't think
I'm from Birmingham, which is about 45 miles from Anniston.
So I've heard a lot of things on Free Talk Live over the years. A lot of people who, want to control immigration in one way or another. And usually when you hear someone complaining about them speaking another language, usually what will come out of their mouths is, well, there ought to be a law. We need a national language in the United States. And I got to say, that dude threw me for a loop. I was expecting him to say there ought to be a law, but no. He wants there to be a law prohibiting them from speaking entirely. Like, if you can't speak English, you shouldn't be able to say words.
There is something in the Alabama state constitution that says that English is the official language of the state of Alabama.
Is that right?
Yes.
That's news to me.
It has no real enforcement because they will provide documents in other languages upon request, but English is the official language, so all documents are first done in English.
All right, let's continue here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Although I do want to add, that's ridiculous, the idea that somebody should be prohibited from speaking simply because they're speaking in a language you don't understand. I mean, come on, kids speak in Pig Latin. I mean, if you don't understand the language, they shouldn't be able to say anything.
During World War I, there were people that were actually arrested for speaking German in public.
In the United States.
In the United States.
Wow. Did they get thrown in a camp too?
They were not placed in concentration camps. They were placed in regular prison.
We've also got Skype here. Skype username is LRN.FM. Let's go to David. He's in Lynchburg, Virginia, listening to WLNI-FM. Hey, David.
Hey, good evening.
Welcome. You're on the air.
Yeah, just wanted to comment, or I guess talk a little bit more about your comment. Maybe I misunderstood it, so give you the chance to elaborate.
Sure.
You made a reference to a recent law that was passed in Arizona, which would allow police officers to ask for immigration-related documentation to substantiate an individual's, legally being in the United States.
Yeah, that was SB 270. It was passed back in 2010.
Okay. And it seemed as though you had an issue with that, and I wanted you to maybe further elaborate on it. I'm not familiar with that, but I'm curious as to your issue with the with that situation.
Okay, so let me first ask you, do you believe in probable cause? Meaning that police need probable cause before they can begin an investigation?
I do, yes.
Okay. How is it anything other than a violation of probable cause to, upon seeing someone and greeting them with a hello, to then begin asking for documentation that they are within the country legally? Having committed no other offense, the wording of the law specifies that upon lawful contact, not upon stopping them for suspicion of committing a crime, but any lawful contact then gives the police authority to investigate whether or not someone is in the country legally.
And I think that's I think your point is valid. I think that given the current state of the terrorist acts, I think that this is probably one of the challenges that we've got try to figure out. I don't have the answer. I don't know that anybody
Well,
does.
the answer is, I'll give you an answer. The answer is freedom is the answer, and screw all these challenges and these laws and these rules and regulations. We don't need that stuff. The excuse that, well, things are bad right now, so we need the government to ignore the Constitution and to just stop people on the streets and pat them down and question them. And I'm not saying that you're saying that, but there are people who, that for them, it doesn't matter that this is essentially the American version of papers, please, right? You're on the streets. We're cops. We're going to demand papers of you, and if you don't give them up, then we're going to trump you up on some charges or whatever. Maybe beat you up. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't saying what you said, and I don't believe that they should go person by person do that. I guess what I'm saying is it does spark the question that what can we do to address the issue that is upon us right now, that's where people are being killed at various acts that I don't recall this situation 25, 30 years ago. And maybe that's I don't know why that is. But something has changed.
When you say people are being killed, who's being killed?
In the terrorist acts, the violence that's occurring in the country
which really isn't happening very much, right? Like, I mean, there's hardly any terrorism inside the United States. There's far more incidents of police terrorizing people in the United States than actual, like, turban-wearing terrorists. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, the cops in 2015 killed like 1,000 people in the United States.
I would agree. Sure, the statistics obviously will show that.
Well, they shouldn't. I mean, they should. They don't have to. Like in other countries around the rest of the world, like in Europe, for instance, is it Iceland where there's never been a police?
I didn't say that they should show that. I said that they would show that.
Yeah, they do, though.
Yes, you're correct that if you look at I'm not saying they don't.
No, I got you. I didn't want to put words in your mouth. Thank you, David, for your call tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The answer, of course, is freedom. What's the question? 855-450-3733, 855-450-FREE. That's a good old Ernie Hancock line. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom, and with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-855-905-MY-TV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. Say goodbye to the cable guy and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. Sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99, and there's no equipment to buy. You get free HD TV upgrade, a free DVR upgrade, and free professional installation. You control what you watch when you watch it. Record your favorite shows, pause and rewind live TV, even skip the commercials. Watch local channels too. At just $19.99, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV. Say goodbye to the cable guy. Cut costs and get more. 1-855-905-MY-TV. 1-855-905-MY-TV.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people
who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here. And I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading on Friday, gold is $6 lower at $1,103 per ounce. Silver is down 23 cents at $14.13 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $456 US dollars. There was an estimated $2.5 trillion loss of equities value so far this year. There's something to keep an eye on, and maybe give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or go online at rrbi.co.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air, and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We've got time for you if you're on the line right now. If not, I'm not going to give you the number because we've got plenty of people who will be carrying us through to the end of this particular episode of Free Talk Live. But there's always another one, so if you don't get in tonight and you still got comments that you want to share, we'll be here tomorrow night for the live Sunday edition. By the way, tonight it's Ian with you.
And Darryl.
And don't forget, you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. And if you like what we're doing here, then please support the show via the AMP program. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. And the idea is to get behind Free Talk Live so we can promote the ideas of liberty into as many marketplaces via radio distribution, also satellite distribution, and internet as possible. And it's $5 a month. You get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, and more. Go and get signed up with any major credit card through PayPal or use Visa or MasterCard right on our website. Or now you can sign up with Bitcoin over at amp.freetalklive.com. And the fact that you can sign up with Bitcoin means that we've given you an anonymous option. So if you really want maximum anonymity, if you want to support the show, but you don't want us to know who you are or anything about you, just use a throwaway email address. Sign up for the site underneath that, and then go ahead and amp the show under that throwaway email address. No problem at all. Totally anonymous. Pretty cool. amp.freetalklive.com, ampamp.freetalklive.com. To the phones and the fun. Laura is calling from our very own Keene, New Hampshire, listening to WKBK. Hey, Laura.
Hey, you're my new addiction. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But I was
welcome.
listening to the show tonight. Good show.
Thanks.
And I wanted to respond to what the gentleman who just called in, he used a curse word and expletive online, and you had to cut his call. Was he from Alabama, I believe?
He was from Anniston, Alabama. He was very scared of some gentlemen who apparently were using a foreign language and then proceeded to run away from him. So for some reason, that was scary.
Well, and I think I thought he sounded as if he were a person of color, and I could understand why he found that disturbing. So I wanted to chime in with this. However free you are, if you're going to have any sort of social interaction, there are always rules that govern that. And I come from the hard north in this state, what some people call no man's land, okay? And how we got along up there. We all had exquisite manners, and we all recognized certain rules. And these were two things I was taught growing up in the hard north. One was you don't whisper in someone's ear in front of other people because it's an automatic offense.
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
Yeah, okay. And the second thing I was taught, if you are able to converse in a foreign language with another person, you do not do that either in front of those who cannot understand you, because it is bound to lead to social offensiveness.
I get what you're saying there.
Offensively by
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
So
In this case, this may have been people who.
Why that gentleman was disturbed, number one. I don't agree they shouldn't be allowed to speak, but I think having come to this country, some of the cultural norms might need to be explained.
Well, okay, but it presumes that they could speak English, right? Like, I understand what you're saying. If you're in the room with a bunch of people who speak English and there's two people who start speaking some other language in front of other people, that I can see why that would be considered to be rude. Like, are they talking about us? What are they saying?
My mother told me never do that. That's going to cause so much heartache and offense.
But it presumes that the people that Greg had encountered actually did know English
while
walking down a public sidewalk.
Yeah.
Cultural norms need to be explained to people that come to this country.
Yeah, and you're not going to explain anything if you're afraid of them.
All right, so I've got a question for you, Laura.
I dare say they were of him for some reason. I dare say there was some cultural supposition going on their part.
Could be.
Okay?
I mean, I don't know. You're right. You jumped to a conclusion, but you could be right about that. Darryl has a question for you.
I go to a gym here in Keene that is owned by a French-Canadian woman who she will speak in French to her son and her husband in the gym. And I don't take any offense to it, but
it's her property, though, right? Does that change
it's her property, but still, she's doing it in front of other people.
It's also her business, and I would say that I used to work for a French Canadian man and his wife, and I think very highly of them to this day. But they used to do that in front of me, and I didn't like it. And I remembered my mother telling me never to do that. I just thought, and I actually knew enough French to pick parts of the conversation out. I just didn't like it. I just thought they were being rude, and they shouldn't do that.
I think that's a danger of doing that. And I think you're right. Explaining those things to folks is a good thing to do. That's the kind, caring, good neighbor thing to do. And, of course, Greg was too afraid.
And we're told, don't do this and don't do that, and here's their cultural norm. Well, when people come here, should be just, in some countries we extend our hand to shake hands. In some countries that is absolutely taboo.
It's offensive,
you should never do that.
That's true. And
there are cultural norms everywhere. And in the interest of getting along and having fluid borders, I think we all have to recognize those.
Thanks, Laura.
I felt badly for that man because I simply felt he didn't understand them. They were scared of him.
Yep.
It was just an unfortunate situation.
I agree. Thank you, Laura. Good perspective. Appreciate hearing from you tonight. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Obviously, in a situation in a dark alley or wherever it was that was happening is not the right time to explain cultural norms to those folks. And I don't think she was saying that it was. But, in the right circumstances with somebody who you're familiar with, like her boss or whoever, if you've got rapport with that person and you've had interactions with them, then there's an appropriate time that you could probably sit down with them and sort of like, hey, look, you're new here, and here's the way things tend to work in the United States. Like, we got this weird thing called tipping. You may not have that where you're from because apparently that's not a real all over the place kind of thing. And each individual plot of land tends to have different features to it. And that even extends inside the United States. There are things that are different, very different about living here in New England versus, the South where you and I are from.
Right.
Darryl. So let's continue with Nick. He is in Pennsylvania, listening to WILM in Delaware. Nick, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hi. Why should Americans bend over backwards for these illegals and these Mexicans and these Spanish people?
What do you mean bend over backwards?
They need to learn English. Okay?
They do. Over generations, the studies show that they, by second or third generation, they're fluent in English and usually don't even know the original language. So they do.
Why do I have to press 1 to continue in English? Why is that happening?
Because it's good customer service to offer your customers different languages.
That's also not a federal law or a state law that says that
it's just
private
good customer
companies
service.
have to provide options for people, but not everybody. And a lot of these companies, they'll use the same voice system worldwide. They don't have one just for the U.S. If it's a global company, they're going to have the same voice system worldwide. And English is
an American, okay? And when I call an American company in the United States, I expect to not have to press 1 to continue.
Oh, my goodness. Talk about first world problems. Oh, God. I just can't extend my arm to the dial pad and press the 1 button.
Why should I do that? It wasn't like that 20 years ago, but the Americans...
Well, 20 years ago, well, I guess they did have touch-tone phones.
And,
but
and worship these illegal people that have overrun this country. And they
worship?
Gathered up and sent back.
Worship? Who's worshiping? And by the way, stop advocating for violence against your fellow man. It's really embarrassing to hear people do
Where's
that.
The violence? Well, how did I say violence?
What do you think gathered up means, sir? What do you think gathered up means?
Gather up and deport means someone will use violence.
Yeah, they're not going to just ask nicely, are they?
You're somehow defining gathering as violence?
Yes, sir, because what if I don't want to be gathered?
You're sick in the head, pal.
What if I don't want to be gathered? It's an easy question.
You're some kind of a sicko, okay? Twist my words around like that.
You're the one who's sick, sir. You're the one who wants to use violence against peaceful people.
Sent back to wherever they came from.
Sent back. Does that mean they're going to be invited to leave? Are they going to be asked nicely to exit?
And learn English, and they should know who the president is.
Can you answer my question?
And they should know how our government works.
Can you answer my question?
What's your question?
Okay. To gather them up and send them back, does that mean that they're going to be nicely invited to leave or that they will be forced to leave?
What you do is you set up a nice big table and you fill it with tacos and burritos and chicken wings, and they'll come and eat, and then you just grab them.
Grab them. That's violence, sir. That's violence. When you grab them
on the trucks and send them back where they go.
If you were able to.
Can anybody go eat these tacos and burritos and chicken wings, or is it only for people that are here illegally?
If you eat
how are the children of illegals?
God, I wish you hadn't called at the end of the show. You know what, Nick? Call tomorrow night. We'll be on live starting at 7 o'clock at night Eastern Time. You just dial that same number, and we'll continue this conversation because you still don't see how what you're advocating is absolutely force against peaceful people. It's violence. We'll see you tomorrow. freetalklive.com. Have a great weekend.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com. The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at creditsuccesssecretsrevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
The three most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm. The Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm presents the latest episode of The Voluntary Life. Download it and listen to more at thevoluntarylife.com.
Welcome to the Liberty Entrepreneurs Podcast, where we explore how to build freedom through the entrepreneurial process. Our goal is to provide you with the tools and mindset needed to create your lifestyle of independence and flexibility. I'm your host, Ash Whitener, and this is episode 10, Financial Freedom and Exiting the Rat Race, with our guest, Jake DeSillis. We chat about a range of topics, including transitioning from university to starting a business, which Jake believes is the most intense personal development program you can put yourself through. Please follow us on Twitter at LibertyEPodcast and Facebook/Liberty Entrepreneurs. Show notes are found on our website, libertyentrepreneurs.com. Enjoy the show. Jake DeSillis is the host of The Voluntary Life, a podcast about entrepreneurship, financial independence, and freedom. In 2000, he founded Intelligent Space, an award-winning consultancy firm that led innovation in the field of pedestrian movement simulation and analysis. In 2010, he sold his business, quit the rat race, and retired early at the age of 38. He has a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate, and is dedicated to promoting entrepreneurship both as an effective personal liberation program that is available to everyone and as a peaceful method of solving social problems. Jake, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
So, Jake, I read a book that you wrote about, I would say, 6 months ago or so, called Becoming an Entrepreneur, and it really affected me. I appreciate it a lot. I was in a transitional period of getting out of being an angry libertarian, and I gotta say that your book, Becoming an Entrepreneur, was a big turning point for me and really inspired me to start the podcast.
Well, that's awesome. It's great to hear.
So, Jake, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I mean, I started a business from university. I spent quite a while in university after doing my degree. I did a master's and then a PhD, and I was learning about using computer modeling and simulation. And I started a business using some of the tools that I was using in my research at university. And it was a consultancy advising on pedestrian movement. We were advising developers and transport engineers on how to predict pedestrian flows using computer models. So we basically provided consulting work on urban development projects. Like if someone was building a shopping center, working out how to get pedestrian flows on all levels and that kind of thing. And that was in 2000. So I started a business in 2000. with one business partner, made a lot of mistakes,